Good afternoon. My name is Samuel Calvin Still III, and I am the second great grandnephew of Dr. James Still, and also the nephew of William Still, who was the father of the Underground Railroad. And they had a brother named Peter Still that was a slave for over 40 years and was able to buy his freedom and reunite with his family. Everybody has their favorite uncle. And to me is would have probably been Dr. James Still. Wow. Dr. Still. Dr. Still, at the age of 7, he was born in 1812 and he died in 1882. So when he was a young boy, around 7 years old, the local doctor came and went to vaccinate the family. And Dr. James was always like, wow, he was fascinated by the fact that this man came and was a doctor. And he knew that he knew at the age of 7 that he wanted to be a doctor, but he had no idea how he was going to do it. The family was poor. He only had 3 months of formal education, and it was at the end of each harvest as he got older. And it got to be so bad at the school, he got teased one time, and his father came and took him out of school and said, that's enough. I'm not going to have you in this school being teased and taunted like this. So he took him out of school. And when James became of age, he struck off and walked to Philadelphia. He goes to Philadelphia and he gets a job working at a horse and a glue factory. Now, glue factory back then was made of animal tendons, like dead horses and calves, and they boiled the bones and all this stuff, and they made glue out of it. So you can imagine it was a horrible smelling job. And he actually excelled at it, where he became almost like a supervisor within a few months to a year. I guess nobody really went the job anyway, right? So he saved his money. He was able to buy books on botany, physiology, and anatomy, and some books on herbal medicines. Because understand, back then, being an herbal doctor was nothing abnormal. It was almost a normal thing to be an herbal doctor. But for a black man to be an herbal doctor, to have a business at it, that's what made it so unique. So he comes back to Medford, New Jersey, which is close to his home in Chemung and Indian Mills. And he's able to buy some property on a street named still there, Church Road in Medford, New Jersey. He buys his property off the main road. And he buys a cabin, an old cabin from someplace else. They transported it over to this piece of property. And he got some help from some local Quakers. And he decided to start distilling medicines from the different plants. And he learned some techniques, some from the Native Americans, but a lot of it he learned, from reading different books and understanding what to do. He gets good at it where people are buying his medicines. And after a while, they're like, hey, he's like a doctor. Dr. Still. Oh, he's a black doctor of the Pines. And he becomes so well known. And soon, after a while, by 1855, he bought more property on the front street, because he wasn't allowed at first to buy property on the front street. Now he's got property on the front street, and he built his office. And he was able to get loans from some of the local Quakers that he became friends with. And it wasn't like they were like, oh, here's some money, we're gonna help you out. He really had to work, like he had to really ask him, like, look, can you loan me X number of dollars, I'll pay you back. And once they realized that he paid them back, and he did pay everybody back in the time frame that he said he was, he got help then. He was able to get the money. So he ended up building this office, and he built his home. By 1869, he had built his 3-story Victorian-style home. He had running water inside the house, where he had a hand pump inside the house that pumped water out of a cistern. His family would have to go outside in the cold to go to the bathroom or go get water. They had water in the house, which then was modern technology. So he builds this beautiful home. He has his office, and he runs water from the cisterns down into the basement of the medical office. And he's got people coming all the time, black, white, Philadelphia, New York, all through South Jersey. And he would travel around and sell his medicines. And he talks about in his autobiography that he went to Long Branch, New Jersey for a vacation, went for 4 days. And I want to say he was somewhere around the age of 60. Comes back, and the street is lined up with patients waiting for Doc Still to come back to work. Now, it's said that he cured a skin cancer. He had cures for tuberculosis. Scrofolio was a type of tuberculosis back then. And he did a lot of it with salves, tinctures. He made cough syrups and that kind of stuff. And, you know, where then medicine was giving people mercury, he was like, that stuff is killing people. I'm not giving you mercury, I'm giving you natural stuff. And he would observe people. Like, he realized that to him, a fever was the body's way of trying to get rid of the impurities in your system. And those days, they tried to stop the fever. And his thought was, let the fever run its course. Give it about 9 days, try to control it so it wouldn't spike and shut down the body's system, but it would allow, you know, he wanted people to sweat the stuff out of their systems. So he observed people. So he became very well known at this and very wealthy, because then he started buying property. He started flipping houses, basically. And what I always take back from his life is that his advice to young people is to stay out of drinking houses, be respectful to yourself, buy property, and save $1. He thought if I can't remember the quote. I can't remember the quote word for word, but basically the quote says that you need to save your money. And even though people called him stingy for saving his money, but he realized if he saved his money, he had some money to help somebody else. So all those things in his advice are just phenomenal, because the same things we tell our kids today, he wrote his biography in 1877. So some of the same philosophies that he says to young people, says to this day. His house fell down in 1932, but his office is still standing. And currently, I am the chairman at the Dr. James Still Historic Site Association, where we manage, this year, we will be able to proudly say we manage 21 acres of New Jersey State Park. We give lessons, historical lessons like this talk here, and we bring school kids in and we show them, took them to the herbal gardens and let them smell, you know, different things, let them touch and feel it, and then talk about his different medicines. We talk about his lifestyle. We talk about, you know, the advice that he gave the children, how we should be trying to be respectful to each other, and it's important, I think, to see that. I always say to everybody, we all have a part to play in building this country. Whether it was bad or good, if we all could just take the time to learn that, hey, my family was here back in the early 1700s, your family was part of this, then we could all kind of respect each other a lot more. So we try to teach that to the children. And to different organizations. I go out and give presentations. I've been to Cape Cod. I've been out to Pittsburgh. I've spoken at Temple, Kane University. We're looking for more volunteers. This past year, the state did a project stabilization of Dr. Still's office. So they took off the parts that weren't original. They took that down, took the aluminum siding off. And it's just a good start. It's been a long time waiting. We got the state involved in 2006 to buy the property. And unfortunately, the states, not just New Jersey, But a lot of states go out and buy these historic sites and they have no plan what to do. They don't even know what to do with them. They just buy them. Someone says we got to save it. And I guess what typically happens, groups like mine come along and say, wait a minute, that's a historical significant thing in this county or this place, and they get involved. So that's what we're doing. We have a mile-long nature trail. So it's growing, and we're very proud of it. And I'm very proud to be part of it. And we're just going to keep it going.